Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. If you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and hit that bell. Welcome back, dear fiends of the den, as we continue the haunted history of Hollywood. And today I am talking about as many of the behind the scenes secrets of all of the Titanic movies that I can find. Now, these are the days when icebergs were the problem. Right now in New York, we're dealing with some haze from the Canadian wildfires. So much love, luck, and much appreciation to all of the firefighters working overtime to put out this blaze, and just prayers and safety to all of us. Now let's jump in to this movie history. The Titanic, the mystery, the lore, the tragedy, sinking on its maiden voyage after striking an iceberg in the North Atlantic, and hearing survivors' tales for many years, unable to really put together the truth until 1985, when the Titanic's remains were discovered. Until then, we relied only on movies to try to tell the story. Of course, the first movie made after the Titanic was found was James Cameron's Titanic, so let's start there. It's so interesting to find out the way some of these movies were put together, these unique cinematic techniques to recreate this disaster. There were practical effects, there have been CGI effects, there have been real life water cannons fired on people to, create a drowning effect from fire departments. So let's just dive in, and here we go. Here's what happened with James Cameron's The Titanic. Now, let me just preface this by saying that right after I had seen the film in theaters, I started acting school at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And like I said, I enjoyed the movie. I really liked it. I loved the costumes. It was a love story. We knew it was going to happen at the end, but you wanted to kind of see the arc of the story. And, I thought Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio just had a great chemistry. But one of my acting teachers, who actually worked for Tony Randall, that was her other job. She was his assistant or something. Um, she said, well, Titanic was filmed in a giant bathtub. And it was just so funny to hear because, we were wondering really, how did they get all this water? Like, where did this all come from? So it was a giant bathtub. So let's find out a little bit more. But I did learn that secret in 1997. I love it that it's confirmed now. So it is true. And we remember the sinking scene with the grand staircase. I mean, it was great camera work, great angles, and it was a lot of realism also in the post sinking scenes. So the aftermath of the shipwreck was filmed in a 350,000 gallon water tank, where filmmakers used crystallizing powder that reacted with water to make actors appear frozen. And the grand staircase, the moment when the water crashes into the staircase, was a one-shot deal. So James Cameron had to get it right because the entire set was designed to be destroyed in that take. Really, truly a great scene. And if you didn't know this, the scene where Rose is being sketched by Jack, that is not Leonardo DiCaprio sketching her. That is James Cameron. The director personally drew all of the artwork in Jack's sketchbook. So he's not only a great director and visionary, but an absolutely excellent, excellent artist. Really, I'm like, that was one of the things I was like, I know Leonardo DiCaprio didn't draw that because years later he put up a painting that he had done for charity, and it was adorable. but I was wondering who the artist was, and finding out it was James Cameron was really something. One last fact about the pool that I pulled up is that it was called the Horizon Tank, and it held 17 million gallons of water in Mexico's Baja Studios. And Baja Studios is a massive film production facility located in Rosarito, Baja California, Mexico. Originally built by 20th Century Fox in 1996 for the filming of Titanic 1997, it features some of the largest water tanks in the world, designed specifically for ocean based scenes. So the studio boasts four large tanks, including that 17 million gallon Horizon tank. It's an oceanfront location, so it is situated on 35 acres with over 2,000 feet of coastline, allowing filmmakers to capture realistic maritime visuals. And besides the Titanic, the studio has hosted films like Pearl Harbor, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, and Deep Blue Sea. It was originally called Fox Baja Studios, and it was sold in 2007 and continues to be used in Hollywood streaming productions. Very interesting. Now, the other movies are not as technical as the 97 Titanic film. But what I could find was, first I said in 1912, the German film In Night and Ice used fire department fire hoses to create or recreate the sinking scene. In the 1953 version of Titanic, this film used miniature models for the sinking sequences, relying on clever camera angles and lighting to make the ship appear massive. In A Night to Remember 1958, widely praised for its historical accuracy, this film used real water tanks and tilted sets to simulate the sinking of the Titanic. So the filmmakers even consulted survivors to ensure authenticity. And this is supposed to be the most historically accurate version of the sinking of the Titanic. In 1979's SOS Titanic, the movie used stock footage from A Night to Remember to enhance its realism, and it blended new scenes with the older, well crafted scenes, creating new sequences to make it historically accurate as well as cinematically dramatic. And in the Titanic 1996 miniseries, the production used CGI enhancements alongside practical effects, making an early attempt at digital effects before James Cameron's 1997 blockbuster. I do not remember this 1996 series. Do you? So here is why I don't remember the Titanic miniseries, and you might not either. The 1996 Titanic miniseries aired on CBS and consisted of two episodes. But it had the most impressive cast: Peter Gallagher, George C. Scott, Catherine Zeta Jones, Eva Marie Saint, Tim Curry, Roger Rees, Harley Jane Kozak, and Mary Lou Henner. Are you kidding me? Only two episodes with that cast. You know, there was a time where networks in the 80s and the 90s would just pull shows out of absolutely nowhere with no explanation, and that just seems like a crime to television. The Titanic really will always captivate people, and I think that there will always be a story that needs to be told and told again. And I have found several more, which I will be getting to throughout this channel. If you're enjoying the haunted history of Hollywood as much as I am, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment, leave me a clue about anything you know, and let's chat. The Den is here for all the dark conspiracies. I live for them. If you have any dark tales of Hollywood you would like to share, from movies to actors to directors, producers, anything you've got, email me at welcome to the den podcast at gmail.com. Thank you, dear fiends of the den. I appreciate each and every one of you who is part of this community. And if you do like this content, please share, like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell. Thank you for joining me in the den. The Dark Entertainment Network is here for all your macabre needs.